Stick this in your ear.
The number one internet shock radio network.
Shock me with that deviant behavior.
Renegade Talk Radio.
Coronavirus, COVID-19, the whole thing was premeditated. It was murder. It was active terrorism by a state against the world. Let's call it what it is. Here's the bad news. For 58 years, the United States, the UK, in collaboration with researchers around the world, planned to use coronavirus to instill the most tyrannical reform of society that this generation has ever seen. And they did it purely premeditated to make sure that we were cowed into submission.
Do you believe the Olympics, do they have the chance of becoming maybe a super spreader?
I think that's for sure, 1,000%.
Peter Hotez, the mini-me of Fauci, calls for police deployment against anti-vaxxers. It's worse than that. UN and NATO troops to take over the media, lock down martial law, and force inject you under the UN treaty. What?
We have some big picture stuff coming down the pike starting on January 21st. Mr. Bloomberg mentioned H5N1. We're seeing sporadic human cases, no human-to-human transmission yet. And that's just the beginning. We have another major coronavirus likely brewing in Asia. We've had SARS in 2002. We have a big problem with mosquito-transmitted viruses all along the Gulf Coast where I am here in Texas. So we're expecting dengue and possibly Zika virus coming back, or a Puche virus, maybe even yellow fever. A five-fold rise in pertussis cases, whooping cough over the last year. 15 measles outbreaks this year. We've got polio that's been in the wastewater in New York State. All that's going to come crashing down on January 21st on the Trump administration. We need a really, really good team to be able to handle this.
The health sector can't solve this on its own. We're going to have to bring in Homeland Security. We need the other United Nations agencies, NATO. This is a security problem.
At least 15 federal agencies knew that gain-of-function research was being done in the Wuhan lab since, 2018?
We've gotten all of our information from a whistleblower, but we now know it wasn't just one agency that China was approaching. China made a presentation, or an American representative, Peter Daszak, made a representation to 15 agencies about creating a virus that, guess what, looks suspiciously like COVID-19 and looks like no other virus in nature from that family. They were working on this and presented it to 15 agencies. And in 2020, when they saw COVID-19, they should have all been calling and raising the alarm and saying, my goodness, we saw this 2 years ago. We knew the Chinese were doing this. Lo and behold, they did it.
Bill Gates says we'll never find a coronavirus cure. That was in October 2020. So he's telling you take the shot, it will cure you, while separately saying in his own foundation and in the NIH that there'll never be a cure because they flooded everybody with all these cancer viruses, but there are cures. So it's lies on top of lies on top of lies.
Let's walk through it. It's HIV, XMRV, and SARS. It never was a coronavirus, and that's the big lie.
Okay, then let's stop there.
We are seeing teenage girls or girls in their 20s presenting with stage 4 breast cancer.
But they hid the fact from the FDA that there was a very carcinogenic substance within these vaccines. They continued to give them. And now we're seeing just an explosion of cancer, especially among young people.
Matt Hancock, who got caught admitting that the COVID thing was all fake, it was about control, in his text messages that came out, who ran the poison shot operations in the UK. More of his messages have come out. And now Matt Hancock is cracking jokes about Bill Gates' conspiracy. He joked about Bill Gates ought to be paying me a lot of money for all the people I injected with his chips. Well, he does own a company that does put nano chips in vaccines to track you. But what they put is self-replicating nanotech spike protein to cut off and self-replicate your DNA defense system. And then they load you with hundreds of known top cancer viruses. So it's far worse than a microchip.
Well, we definitely need to do something about the COVID criminals. even if it is 5 years after their crimes were mostly committed. The vaccines, the virus, the lockdowns, the COVID criminals. Days, ladies and gentlemen, 41 days, 19 hours, and 53 minutes until Inauguration Day. It certainly already feels like Trump, in some ways, is the president of the United States. And yet, in this countdown to Inauguration Day, so many crazy things have happened, including over this weekend, what we saw in Syria with the toppling of the Assad regime. And then there was Trump in France, the main character, if you will, in the reopening of the Notre Dame Cathedral. We are going to be visiting those sights and sounds. We're also going to be talking about the fall of Assad in Syria. We're going to be joined by Syrian Girl in the second hour to give her take on all of this. We're also going to have a big story out of Central America in the third hour today. Some follow-up on the reporting that we did a week ago, and then some very interesting exclusive news that's going to be massive coming out of Central America with a very special guest today. And so it pretty much is exactly what we thought. The human trafficking operation, the involvement of the Biden administration, the open borders, the chaos to drive it all in, it's bad. It's bad. And other world leaders are well aware of what Mayorkas has done. And so, yes, we have to find the kids, and then we have to hold them accountable, those responsible in the Biden administration and other policymakers and NGOs must be held accountable for what they've done to the children, simply put. So we'll have some big breaking news on that in the third hour. We'll visit some of Trump's over hour-long interview with Kirsten Welker of NBC News. And it's almost better. I sit there and I ask myself, why does he continue to give these hacks, these frauds, these phonies, these liars, these people that hate him, have tried to sabotage him, destroy him, get him killed? Why does he continue to give them the time? And then you watch the interview and you get it, because for him to be postured against the fake news, for him to be going eye to eye, toe to toe with the establishment voice box, with the propaganda agents, it just makes it more powerful. And it will get probably more views than if he went on a favorable podcast. So we'll be visiting some of that today. We've also got an update on the Department of Government Efficiency with Ron Paul and the influence he's going to have there, already being reflected and promoted by Elon Musk. And this is stuff that's long overdue. Can you drag Congress over the finish line? That is the question. Our bought and paid for corrupt Congress. That will be the ultimate determining factor as to whether or not the Department of Government Efficiency is going to be able to really do anything. The lesser charges in the Daniel Penny case also dropped today, actually found not guilty. Found not guilty. And so some of the response to this might have been anticipated with, I don't know if they're official Black Lives Matter groups anymore that are really that involved, but it's the same difference. And they're coming out, having press conferences, saying they're going to riot. Their normal black versus white rhetoric. And so if you're in New York City, expect a large police presence tonight. I don't know if they'll actually have the numbers to riot again, but it's funny. They just admit it now. They just say, no, this is what we do. This is what we do. Things don't go our way. We just riot. So we've got all of that for you today and more. But when it comes to Donald Trump, he goes to the grand opening of the reopening, I should say, of the Notre Dame Cathedral and was the center of attention. Got the grand entrance from Macron, shaking all the other foreign diplomat and leaders' hands. They all wanted to talk to him. They all wanted to see him. They're all wondering what he's going to do. They're all trying to get their voice in his ear. It was the grand reopening of the Notre Dame Cathedral. It was the grand reintroduction of Donald Trump to the world stage as the leader of the United States of America. And it's great to see it. If you're an American, our leader, our president, going there, demanding the world's attention and being treated with respect, being able to walk on his own power, think with his own mind. It's nice to see. And so I got all these clips. If you guys want to start going through it, the grand opening with Macron, he's even getting friendly treatment from the Bidens, Jill Biden, Ashley Biden there with him. Everybody staring at him, literally watching every move he makes, watching him interact with all the other world leaders. So it's just nice to see a real leader, the president of the United States, demanding the attention and respect from the world, something we've obviously been lacking with Joe Biden, a man who can stand on his own 2 feet. You know, what is the deal with Zelensky, that bum? He refuses to put on a suit and tie. Has he ever worn it once? He wore that tuxedo when he used to be a comedian. He was wearing the tuxedo when he used to be a comedian, and he used to do the piano playing with his male member. The last time I saw this guy wearing any form of formal attire or a suit was when he was doing stand-up comedy or sketch comedy. He even wore a suit when he did the TV show pretending to be the president and shooting up the parliament. You remember that? Yeah, that was Zelensky. He was an actor, a comedian, before he became the tyrant, the dictator. Was once the president, now he's a dictator, illegitimate. But now he refuses to wear a suit to any event, not the reopening of the cathedral, not during foreign meetings. Yeah, and you want to talk about the ultimate troll. Trump he's releasing all this merchandise. His latest is a fragrance. I'm guessing this is a cologne for men. Maybe they have it for women too. And this isn't a plug. I just want to be clear. But you want to talk about a troll. He takes an image from the reopening of the Notre Dame Cathedral here, and he's got Ashley Biden and Jill Biden giving him the eyes. Let's just leave it at that. He's getting the eyes. And he turns that image into a marketing pitch, an ad for his new fragrance, for his new cologne called Fight, Fight, Fight. And it's Jill and Ashley giving him the eyes there. So, I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, this guy's having the time of his life. You know, the whole world is trying to, well, I shouldn't say the whole world. It looks like most of the world respects Donald Trump. Most of the world probably looks at the United States of America and wants a leader that's not corrupt or at least competent. But, of course, the deep state and our corrupt CIA and other corrupt intelligence agencies, you know, they're all trying to destroy him. They're all trying to destroy the House before he gets back home into the White House. And he's just having the time of his life, using Jill and Ashley Biden to market his new fragrance, Fight, Fight, Fight. It's nice to see the world is healing. They all really love Hitler, don't they? They all really love that racist, rapist Hitler, Donald Trump, don't they? Isn't that something? But it's really a shame because I can sit here and joke and have a good laugh over Trump's new ad here featuring the Biden girls. But isn't it actually despicable? They just sit there and they just lie about Trump, and they all know it's a lie. And then they're going to sit there and shake his hand and grandstand and give him the doll eyes, as if they never said any of it, as if they aren't calling him a rapist and a racist and Hitler and everything else under the sun. And then it's nothing but smiles and handshakes and baby doll eyes and Zelensky in a sweatshirt. Put on a suit, you bum. Why can't this guy, he wants all of our money, but he can't afford a suit. Everyone else in the entire venue, every other man at least, but the women were in formal wear too. Every other man is in a suit and a tie except Zelensky. What is up with that? There's something to that. I don't know what it is. It's like him getting cucked by the intelligence agencies, or like him cucking you because you pay for his war and he's an illegitimate dictator, doesn't even put on a tie. And look, I'm not sitting up here like I'm the fashion police or anything. You know, sometimes I'll come on air without a tie, whatever. I'm sitting here. If I show up at some event and I'm the only guy there that's not dressed for the occasion, then that's on me. So that's on him. But why is he doing that? There's something there. So the whole world is watching for Donald Trump's every move. The rumors are that Macron, there's that little dictator nugget. The rumors are that Macron had to go for an x-ray on his hand afterwards, maybe some broken phalanges after the Trump squeeze. Look at this. Zelensky's in combat boots. Dude, you are not at war. You never have been. You have sent hundreds of thousands of your men to die. And then he goes out there in like some fake combat boots, in sweatpants and a sweatshirt. What a joke. Well, we've only given him hundreds of billions of dollars. So, must be tough to afford a suit. Can't even do it. Other things from Donald Trump. Look, there's the last time you saw Zelensky in a suit. In the TV show where he shot up the parliament. Yeah, literally. Has Zelensky worn a suit since then? I guess he just always wears what he's told to wear. So he was the actor there. They told him to wear a suit and tie, so he wore it. But now that he's an actor on the world stage, now he's told to wear a sweatshirt and sweatpants. I guess that's how it goes. Trump says he will start pardoning January 6 defendants first day in office. Well, really, I guess I could understand why Bondi might not want to get this work started now in case she won't get confirmed. But I'd say that's probably, that's like a 98, 99% Bondi will get confirmed. So I don't really think that's a risk. So really, they should be ready for the pardons day one. Even if you wanted to say case by case, you can be doing that work right now. But many of them, it's obvious. Many of them, it's obvious, nonviolent. All nonviolent should be day one. And then if you want to, again, case by case with people that might have assault charges or police officer skirmishes, okay, maybe you can look at that. But I'm more of the blanket pardon approach at this point, especially after what Joe Biden did pardoning his son. Just screw it at this point. Trump urges immediate ceasefire in Ukraine. Now, let's go to some of the clips from Trump's almost an hour and a half with Kirsten Welkner. He talked about all kinds of issues. In fact, actually, let's go first to Kash Patel. Now, the word out of D.C. is Kash Patel is about a 90% chance he's going to get confirmed. They believe he has the votes. Anybody saying, oh, we know we have the votes or we don't have the votes, quite frankly, I don't believe any of these senators at this point. But it seems to be Patel is good. Here he is talking about the situation in Ukraine and Zelensky. This is hopefully, likely, your future FBI director, Kash Patel, clip 12.
I've asked this Congress to investigate where has this money gone. The American people are owed that answer because it's our money. It's our taxpayer dollars.
And there's a lot of really good reason to be concerned because, the Ukraine was known as a, place of corruption, a place for money laundering.
Yeah. It's not like we sent $1 billion, as if that was even a small number to begin with, right? We've sent 100 times that to one country. I don't know how this Congress is allowed to get away with it. And Zelensky is out there. He went on the world stage and said Russia fired a rocket into Poland, which would literally be an act of war. Well, it turned out that Russia fired no such rocket. It turned out that the rocket came from the Ukraine and was fired into Poland.
And it was a mistake, basically.
If Zelensky's going to go out there and beg the world for more money and come to the U.S. and sit in the well of our Congress and say, we want more money, and then call and demand the new Speaker of the House provide more and more money, and call Mitch McConnell and say, we need more and more machinery, he needs to be more prepared about global statements that bring us to the precipice of war than doing what he did last fall with this missile attack, or this missile launch, I should say. And we just can't have full faith and trust by giving a leader $100 billion and having him say, I'm not telling you where the money went.
And remember, it was Congress that voted against the oversight. Rand Paul was one of the very few that voted for oversight. They didn't want it. Well, why is that? Well, that's corruption. That's money laundering. Give me the money, but don't watch what I do with it. Well, that's because you're a criminal. And Congress is complicit in all of this. And we'll have more on that when we're dealing with Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency. But Trump was talking NATO. He was talking geopolitics, talking some of his agenda with Kirsten Welker. Welkner. Let's look at some of these clips quickly. First, let's start with Trump and Welkner. Clip 4.
Sir, I don't have to tell you this because you've talked about it. It comes at a time when the country is deeply divided. And now you're going to be leading this country for the next 4 years. For the sake of unifying this country, will you concede the 2020 election and turn the page on that chapter?
No. No, why would I do that? But let me just tell you, when you say the country is deeply divided, I'm not the president. Joe Biden's the president.
But you're going to be the president.
Real quick.
No.
Perfect answer, A+ answer. No, why would I do that? And I'm not the president. Sit down and shut up. Fake news, meet the press. Continue.
I'm not the president. So when you say it's deeply divided, I agree. But Biden's the president. I'm not. And he has been a divider. And you know where he divided it more than anything else, and it probably backfired on him, I think definitely, is weaponization. When he weaponized the Justice Department and he went after his political opponent, me, he went after his political opponent violently because he knew he couldn't beat him. And I think it really was a bad thing. And it really divided our country.
Sir, Democrats have control of the White House now. They didn't in 2020. If they are going around stealing elections, why
when you
didn't
say
they
Democrats have control now
of the White House?
Yeah.
So why didn't they steal this election? Since they have more power now.
Because I think it was too big to rig.
So you won't.
It's too big to rig.
To the people who say that you're now directing your Justice Department to investigate 2020, and they want to move on.
Very capable. I think Pam is going to be great.
Precious resources.
By the way,
is that what you want them to do?
Just so you know, I have the right to do that, but I'm not interested in that.
Oh, you're not. You're not going to do that.
I'm not interested. Okay. I have the absolute right. I'm the chief law enforcement officer. You do know that. I'm the president. But I'm not interested in that. You know what I'm interested in? Drilling and getting prices down and stopping people from pouring into our border that come from prisons and mental institutions.
You know, it was one of his best interviews, and it was because he was in control of the narrative, and unintentionally, Welker pretty much set him up for his best interview. because I get it sitting here. Why would you go on with Meet the Press? All they do is attack you, lie about your supporters. But it's the perfect juxtaposition of the fake news media, the propaganda, versus Donald Trump controlling the narrative and bringing things home. And so anybody that's watching that and heading into the next administration as an American citizen and is thinking, I'm not really sure what to expect, I'm kind of unclear on some of these things, they say this, they say that, Trump got control of those narratives in that interview. The 2020 election is perfect. And they can sit here and act like, oh, there were no shenanigans, and ignore the vote Viagra in 5 states and everything else, ignore the Democrats flipping seats in this most recent election as well. They will ignore it, of course. But he just says, hey, I could do that if I wanted. I'm not going to say anything about the 2020 election. You're not going to sit here and force me to concede it. But you know what I want to do? I want to turn the energy back on. I want to get people's prices down. That's what I want to do. If you want to sit here and attack me and demonize what I've said over 2020, go ahead. I'm here to focus on the future. Maybe they investigate what happened in 2020. Maybe they don't. But it was the perfect response there. And you can tell she's so off-put. She didn't know what to do. She's floundering around, stuttering and stammering. Now, we got more coming up from Trump. And I'll just say this quickly as we're heading to the break. There is an ongoing hearing as far as the future of InfoWars is concerned. There is a chance, I would say a small chance, that there could be a decision while this show is on air. The crew, myself, had a meeting with Alex Jones before the show, and he said, hey, here's the deal. If something happens, we're here in studio. I'm going to make an announcement. Just be ready for that. If they do try to shut it down, we'll be ready to do special broadcasts, whether it's here or elsewhere. So I just want to put that note out here for the audience tuning in, wondering about that. When we went on air, the hearing was still ongoing. Very long, drawn-out, painful process. It's like a dental procedure. And so I'm guessing it's still ongoing. It could go long into the night. There's a small chance that there could be a development before we're off air. Should that be the case, we will get the information from Alex. He will make the announcement, and we'll go forward from there. In the case that there is no conclusion tonight, which is kind of what I'm anticipating, but who knows at this point, anticipating anything at this point is a fool's errand. But should there be no decision tonight, InfoWars will go on with normal operations as we have, back on air tomorrow. But stay tuned here. If anything happens, you will be hearing from Alex Jones. And if we are on tomorrow, I plan on just going into the full interview with Trump and Welker later tonight. But I got too much other news and guests today on this show that we need to get to.
Most people that research supplements and that are into health know that Irish sea moss and its benefits are documented and incredible. Well, our sponsor, the AlexJonesStore.com, happened to be able to get one of the top suppliers with the highest rated Irish sea moss to give them the authorization for private labeling. So now it's Alex Jones Ultimate Sea Moss, exclusively available at thealexjonesstore.com. It is the ultimate superfood. The iodine, the trace minerals, the elements, the vitamins that are in this are incredible. They give you instant energy, instant focus, but as you take it for a few weeks, you feel the stamina, the libido, the mental clarity. It is a superfood. It is concentrated. So get Alex Jones Ultimate Sea Moss exclusively discounted at thealexjonesstore.com. And listen to this. 1 bottle is 40% off. 3 bottles is 55% off. And again, 1 bottle is 40%. Get yours today at thealexjonesstore.com. And I thank you for keeping us on the air.
Infowars.com/show.
The beacon of truth in a world of deceit. It's the War Room with Owen Schroyer.
FDA may outlaw food dyes within weeks. Bombshell move would affect candy, soda, and cakes, revolutionize American diets. Most of these toxic ingredients cannot even be found in foreign countries. In fact, the same name brand products in America would have different ingredients in different countries around the world. It seems to be America that puts the most poisonous ingredients in our food. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wants to deal with this day one. And I'm a small government guy, really. Smallest possible government is what I'm in favor of. I wouldn't say I'm a full-blown anarchist, but, I'm like least amount of government. Least amount of government interaction, involvement is what I'm for. So it's not like I want there to be some FDA overseeing everything. But if we do have an FDA, what's the purpose? Well, it's to make sure you don't put poison in the food. Well, they put poison in the food, and the FDA green lights it. And then they'll go after farmers who just want to sell raw milk. And they'll make sure there's all kinds of different laws surrounding raw milk and raw foods. But if it's a toxic food dye, which is basically a poison, then it's okay. So this is a good move. This is repurposing the FDA for what its original intent was. So I don't think that that's radical at all. Now, Donald Trump was asked about RFK Jr. in the Meet the Press interview, asked about vaccines and other issues. Here was Trump's response in clip 5.
Let me ask you about RFK Jr. He has obviously talked about his skepticism of vaccines. He's expressed opposition to childhood vaccines. Do you want to see childhood vaccines eliminated?
If they're dangerous for the children. Look.
So possibly?
When you look at some of the problems, when you look at what's going on with disease and sickness in our country.
Pause it real quick there. Did you notice what Welker just did there? Again, perfect response from Trump. Just take whatever your opinions or politics are aside and just look at this from a sheer, I'm grading this interview perspective. A+ response. If it's hurting the children. So she can't pin him down, which is what she wanted to do. If you go back and listen to it again, if you guys want to just cue that right back up, she wanted to pin him down and make him sound like a kook and a crazy on vaccines, so then they could run these attack pieces. Trump's going to cause measles, mumps, rubella, and polio, and all these other things. Because he's against vaccines. He's against vaccines. We got him. He's against vaccines. So she's trying to pin him down. And you kind of, look, Welker comes off as kind of an airhead bimbo, and she probably is. But stuff like that, she knows exactly what she's doing, folks. That's the strategy from Meet the Press here. It's not to actually interview Donald Trump. It's to have all of these set up questions to try to pin him down. That was a perfect one right there. I'm going to pin him down, and then we're going to label him against vaccines, and then we're going to blame him on all these outbreaks, and we're going to use that clip. Well, he doesn't fall for it. He says, if it hurts the children, yes. Brilliant. But if you notice her response, you'll see she was already ready for the pin down. She got ahead of her skis there, and she got all excited, and she's like, oh, you would? Then you would? Trying to pin him down, even though that her pin already failed, and he flipped her out of it. So let's just listen to that again. This is how the fake news operates. This is Trump walking into the rat's nest with all the rats' traps and then putting them in the trap. Brilliantly done. I think do we have it queued up again, guys, from that point? Well, yeah, we'll play it from the beginning. It was like 5 seconds. Just listen to Welker's response after Trump judos her on the pin down question and then pins her. And she tries to, oh, no, you said you'd ban him, right? You said you'd ban him. And he no, that's not what he said. Go ahead.
Let me ask you about RFK Jr. He has obviously talked about his skepticism of vaccines. He's expressed opposition to childhood vaccines. Do you want to see childhood vaccines eliminated?
If they're dangerous for the children. Look.
So possibly?
When you look at some of the...
So perfect response. If they're dangerous for the children. Oh, so somebody hears that and says, oh, if they're dangerous for the children, they might be dangerous for the children? Now they're curious. She wanted to pin him down. So possibly? You hear that? So possibly? She tries for the pin again. You failed, Welker. Trump's smarter than you. You failed. You got caught in the trap. Now you've just aired an hour-long interview where the president says childhood vaccines might be dangerous for children. Who fell into the trap? See, you thought you were going to trap him. He ended up trapping you. And then after you get caught in the trap, you're wailing. So you would, right? You said you would. Oh, not what he said. Now people are going to look into the issue. Great. Beautifully done, Trump. Okay, continue.
You look at some of the problems, when you look at what's going on with disease and sickness in our country, something's wrong.
Are you talking about autism?
Well, if you take a look at autism, you go back 25 years, autism was almost non-existent. It was, 1 out of 100,000. And now it's close to 1 out of 100.
Well,
I mean, what's happening? If they can find it. Now, I did something the other night that was a little unusual. At Mar-a-Lago, I called the drug companies, the top drug companies, and I called RFK Jr. and Dr. Oz and some of his people. And I said, let's all get together and let's figure out where we're going. Because we're going to do a lot of things. Number one, we're going to reduce prices because the middleman makes more money than the drug companies, in all fairness to the drug companies. There's a middleman that nobody even knows who they are. And you look at our drug prices, they're much higher than the prices for the same medicine, for the same stuff. So we met, and we met for a long time, and we talked about pricing, and we talked about vaccines, in terms of what happens. We talked about pesticides. We talked about everything. And I think a lot of good things are going to come from him. And he's not going to upset any system. He's not going to upset this. He's not looking to, to reinvent the wheel totally. But when you look at the numbers, we really don't have a very healthy country.
Well, sir, going back 25 years, studies show that there is no link between vaccines.
Pause it right there and run it 5 seconds. Did you see what she did there? She did the same thing that Leslie Stahl was doing 4 years ago. Trump was talking about how they spied on him. Trump was talking about the Hunter Biden laptop. And what did Leslie Stahl do? But sir, you have no proof. But sir. And then, of course, Trump was right about everything and Leslie Stahl was wrong. And now it's the same routine. It's the same routine, this time with Welker. You are not the authority. You are a fake news bimbo. You are a known fake news hack. Anti-truth, anti-Trump, all about you. And you think you're going to outwit Donald Trump. Mockingbird Press, fake news media. But sir. As if everything he's talking about isn't true. The pesticides with the health problems. How many times have you seen one of those big lawsuits? They run commercials on TV. Class action lawsuits, commercials, TV, radio. It's well known the stuff in pesticides can cause cancer. Well known. You look at all the things he's talking about. Childhood obesity. You look at just the general health of the American population. All these things are not going well. And Trump points it out. But sir, but sir, nothing. You don't cover any of it because you're fake news. You don't cover any of it. So it must not be true. But of course, it's all true. So this interview is going to come back to play just like the Leslie Stahl interview did. But sir, the laptop is fake news. But sir, nobody was ever spying on you. You're talking to the president. So this same thing is going to happen for Welker. And in 4 years, when we get rid of all the poisons and we stop vaccinating our kids to death and Americans' health gets better, we'll go back and play this interview. And Welker is going to be extremely embarrassed. But sir. Go ahead.
Going back 25 years, studies show that there is no link between vaccines and autism. And yet it sounds like you are open to the possibility of him looking
I'm
at
open to
getting
anything.
rid of them?
I think somebody has to find out. If you go back 25 years ago, you had very little autism. Now you have it. I mean,
well, they say because they're better at identifying it.
Oh, yes. Look at those eyes. Whoa, rewind that again. Look at those eyes. Oh, man, you can tell this is a demon getting defeated right here. This is a demon getting wrecked. Whoo. Let me explain something. And maybe your personal experience is similar to mine. But it's just I'm a face, I'm a voice that people recognize. And from 2016 to 2020 to now, the difference in public perception is noticeable. And I'm talking specifically about health stuff. You might have been able to pull that off 10 years ago and play that card of there's no study, there's no link, oh no, autism, blah, blah, blah. Now, most educated adults, and I would even say probably the vast majority of Americans, are at least open-minded to this conversation, if not have already decided, yeah, these vaccines are causing major harm, what we do to the kids. Doesn't mean you're anti-vaccine. It just says, hey, we're looking at obvious measurables. We're looking at obvious trends here. We got problems with our health. Autism rates are up. You can play this, well, we're just better at noticing it. You don't think a parent notices when there might be something a little off with their child? You don't think that a parent notices you take in a healthy baby, you give it 4 shots, it comes out brain dead? Oh, but we need the scientific studies. These people have lost so much ground, and they just don't realize it yet. They just haven't realized it yet. You are completely disconnected with the American people. Completely disconnected. I guarantee you, I'll talk to, I've got friends that have had kids last couple of years. I've got friends that are pregnant. Nobody's getting these shots, folks. Nobody. Nobody's getting these shots. And now there's like these communities where you call up some other parents. You know, we got crew here. A lot of people here got kids. And you call up other parents. You got a kid on the way. You say, hey, do you have a pediatrician, or is there somewhere I can go when my wife gives birth and they're not going to pressure me into vaccines? And it's a little community. You say, oh, yes, these places are good. These pediatricians are good. Avoid this place. And this is everywhere. That doesn't sell anymore, Welker. It doesn't sell. It's actually popular to be against Big Pharma now. It's actually popular to be against the childhood vaccine schedule now. We won. I mean, we have kicked your ass. And you're so out of touch. You don't even care that you've lost your audience. You don't even care that you're completely out of touch with the American people. You can't even open your eyes and see it for yourself. Like so many other Americans have. All right, continue. Look at those eyes, man.
1 in 100,000, and now it's 1 in 100. That's a pretty bad number.
Childhood vaccines.
I mean, something is going on. I don't know if it's vaccines. Maybe it's chlorine in the water, right? You know, people are looking at a lot of different things.
Well, you know, childhood vaccines.
I want them to look at everything.
Everything. So childhood vaccines have prevented about 4 million deaths around the world every year.
I think that's great.
Isn't that?
I'm all for it. I think it's great. Hey, look, I'm not against vaccines. The polio vaccine is the greatest thing. If somebody told me get rid of the polio vaccine, they're going to have to work real hard to convince me. I think certain vaccines are incredible, but maybe some aren't. And if they aren't, we have to find out. But when you talk about autism, because it was brought up, and you look at the amount we have today versus 20 or 25 years ago, it's pretty scary.
Well, again, scientists say that's because they've gotten better at identifying it, and there's no link in studies.
The drug companies are going
real quick. Because there's actually another element to this that is worth mentioning. Oh, scientists have gotten better at identifying these things. Oh, better at identifying autism or ADHD or all these other things. Oh, really? Because do you want to talk about that too? We could talk about that. What happens when these doctors, these scientists, What happens when they identify one of these learning disabilities? They prescribe the child a drug. And then the pharmaceutical industry gets paid. And then the doctor gets the kickbacks. And then the pharmaceutical companies buy ads on network television like Meet the Press on NBC News. It's called upward synchronization. And Welker couldn't care less about the health of the kids, clearly based off of what she says in this interview. Oh, yeah, they've gotten better at identifying these things. It's all by design. It's all by design. They've gotten better at identifying these things, and they got a list of new things. And there'll be new things because then there'll be new drugs, and they'll keep pushing drugs onto the kids. And then our kids will get more sick and more sick and more sick. And when Donald Trump simply says, hey, our kids are getting sick, we should look into everything, Meet the Press's Kirsten Welker says, but the scientists, but the doctors. Maybe she knows they could lose everything. If they don't have the big pharmaceutical ad money, can network news, television even survive? Maybe that's what Welker is in it for. All right, finish up with Trump's statement.
To say that's because they've gotten better at identifying it and there's no link in
but
studies.
The drug companies are going to be working with RFK Jr. and he's been an interesting guy to me. I've watched him for 25 years, and he's been an interesting guy.
Man, those eyes. I mean, look at that. Kirsten Welker, one of the worst. You don't get into that position by being high on ethics. Let's just put it that way. But, man, Trump really brought the psycho demon eyes out of her, didn't he? So then, let's look at some of these nominees here. Representative Eric Burleson from Missouri puts it right. He says, my message to GOP senators who don't want to confirm Trump's nominees: Trump took a bullet to the head and then dragged you into the majority. The American people sent a mandate and the American people are watching. Well, we are watching. And to those in the Republican Party that want to be obstinate and want to operate for the deep state or even just basically come out as Democrats, even with an R behind their name, they will be primaried and they will be defeated. You see, the Republican Party has had major reforms in the last 8 years under Trump, and the Republican voter is paying attention to politics unlike we ever have before. And that's why the modern-day Republican voter is not really a big fan of the past Republican administrations. We're evolving with the times. We're better researched. We're more active and activated. So, yeah, the Republicans that try to block Trump's nominees will be primaried and will be defeated. You watch. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, those Republican senators up there working with the Democrats to block Trump's agenda. And, of course, one in the crosshairs is Pete Hegseth. Navy SEALs and veterans to march for Hegseth confirmation. There are more than 100 Navy SEAL veterans and warfighters reportedly planning to march to support him on the first day of his confirmation hearing. So this will be, it'll be hundreds by the time this is all said and done, I'm sure. Good for Pete Hegseth. He's earned a lot of that social credit. He's cashing in on it now. Here's Tom Cotton on that situation. Senator Cotton in clip 10.
Lastly, real quick, Pete Hegseth seems to have gotten momentum behind him, but you're in Washington. You talk to these senators. You go to lunch in the cafeteria together. So is he on track? Is he gaining momentum?
Brian, I expect a Republican Senate is going to confirm all of a Republican president-elect's nominees. I had a good meeting last week with Pete Hegseth and with Pam Bondi. I know many of these nominees. 2 Arkansans have been nominated as ambassadors: Marco Rubio, Kelly Loeffler. Doug Collins and I served together. In fact, if you go back 32 years to Bill Clinton's transition, there are only 2 nominees out of 72 cabinet secretary nominees in which senators of the president-elect's party voted against him. So no one should be surprised that a Republican Senate is going to confirm the Republican president-elect's cabinet secretaries.
You know, there's a lot of things at play here, and I'm just going to say it once because some people are tired of it and they really just can't even handle it, quite frankly. But the one thing that's always at play, and this is maybe the biggest thing that knocked Matt Gaetz out of the Attorney General nomination, and that is the Israeli lobby. They control the votes in Congress. So I don't think they'll try to block Hegseth. I think in this element, it's basically going to be a ritualistic humiliation of Hegseth. A lot of these senators probably didn't want him for personal reasons, or they had their own idea for a pick for other reasons, and they didn't want Hegseth. But they will ultimately probably be forced to vote for him because they don't want to get primaried and they don't want to be those Republicans that are going to be called Democrats for the rest of their time in Congress. So I do think Hegseth will have the votes. I don't know if I agree with Cotton that all the nominees are safe right now. I think it's going to be an interesting process. But we shall see when the votes come down. But what's going to happen to Hegseth is what they did to Kavanaugh. That's what's going to happen. And they're going to put him on that stand, and they're going to ridicule him, and they're going to shame him, and they're going to embarrass him. And so that's what the process we're in right now is. Hey, here's all the nasty stuff we're going to bring up in this confirmation. You sure you want to do this? Here's how we're going to try to destroy your character. Are you sure you want to do this? Hegseth says, fine. I care about the American veterans and warriors, so you go ahead. You go ahead. I'll sit on that stand, and you go ahead and do what you got to do. I'm ready to take it. And so that's what this is. This is like this humiliation ritual where if it's not somebody that the swamp really wants, then they're going to humiliate you in front of the entire American people. But then at the end of the day, I think with Hegseth, they'll probably have to vote for him. And he did just have a meeting with Joni Ernst, who's coming around. Then there's Tulsi Gabbard, the deep state running tricks on her. Former national security officer urged caution on Tulsi Gabbard. A group of nearly 100 former national security officials urged the Senate to carefully scrutinize Tulsi Gabbard. Oh, yes, those deep state intelligence agencies at it again, those liars. And now they're trying to tie her to the Assad regime. Democrats and Republicans in Congress worried that Gabbard might leak to Assad regime. Just give it a rest with the deep state. We're so sick and damn tired of it. But who knows? Maybe Gabbard can get some Democrat votes as well. All right. We got a guest coming up on the situation in Syria. Syrian Girl is going to be joining us in the next hour. We're going to get really do a deep dive into what led to this and what is to come next. Coming up in just a few short minutes with Syrian Girl. Folks, remember, do your Christmas shopping at thealexjonesstore.com. It's not too late. We still got time. Get your Christmas orders in now. thealexjonesstore.com. Don't forget to become a member of the VIP club, thealexjonesstore.com/VIP.
My fellow patriots, there are a lot of amazing Patriot gear, supplements, you name it, at thealexjonesstore.com. But we've now added a whole bunch of other really cool items. There are a bunch of amazing campaign coins for InfoWars for $17.76. For the Fight for Liberty on the site as low as $9.99. Some of the challenge coins are $14.97. They're great fundraisers for us. They have a lot of weight in them. They look great. They're great conversation starters, great gifts, great keepsakes, mementos, and you know that you've supported the InfoWar. So I want to thank you all for your past support and encourage you now to go to thealexjonesstore.com, our amazing sponsor that will keep us on air one way or the other. If InfoWars gets shut down, that's okay, because they're a great sponsor. They're not owned by me, and the bad guys won't be able to shut down thealexjonesstore.com. So go there for the campaign coins and so much more today, and keep me in the fight. Thank you so much for your support.
Trigger warning.
This broadcast contains subject matter
that might trigger
liberal snowflakes. It's The War Room with Owen Schroyer.
Hey, you know, the Washington Post wants you to know they care about trust in news. No, I'm serious. Very serious, the Washington Post. Global trust in news, technological change in the future of journalism. And they have a conference. The Washington Post has a conference tomorrow, Tuesday, December 10th. Join the Washington Post live for conversations about global trust in news. So yes, because the Washington Post is your source for trust in news. That's fun. Yeah, the Washington Post is going to tell us about trust in news and why it's so down. Well, it's because you, and so people don't trust you anymore. They trust us, actually. But that's fun. Yes, the Washington Post, ladies and gentlemen, the global trust in news conversation, because they're losing their audience. Oh, man, that is rich. Thank you for that laugh, Washington Post. Trust in news. Imagine it. Everything they've done to try to destroy Alex Jones and destroy InfoWars and this team and this crew, we're still on air. We're still surviving because people do trust us. And even if they do have a victory over this operation and find a way to get it shut down, people will still tune in wherever we end up because they do trust us. That's how trust actually works, when you deliver. By the way, we're delivering, and we will deliver your Christmas gifts at thealexjonesstore.com. Guys, do we still have the Trump on a Stump? Is it still available? It did sell out, didn't it? Okay, well, you can order it. I don't know when it will ship out. I don't have all the details here, but you can still order it at thealexjonesstore.com. The Trump on the Stump Christmas decoration. Do we know where we're at on the limited edition coin? Are those still available? Let's pull up thealexjonesstore.com. So, yeah, but it looks like we sold out of both of those things. But we will be making more, so you can still order. But as far as Christmas deliveries are concerned, it looks like we have sold out. You can order, but it will be for later. So if you were hoping to have it delivered by Christmas, is what I'm saying, we're sold out. But you can do a pre-order, and we'll ship it in a couple of weeks. So I knew that was going to happen when I said last week, place your orders now, because when I come back on air Monday, they will be sold out. But we still have plenty of other opportunity for Christmas gifts at thealexjonesstore.com. The Christmas sweaters, the Trump One apparel, like hoodies, T-shirts, hats. So go on over to thealexjonesstore.com and get some of your Christmas gifts done. Get some of that Christmas shopping done. And with every purchase, of course, you get multiple entries into the Monster Truck Raffle. What other kind of cool stuff? We got calendars over there. We've got calendars at thealexjonesstore.com now. We got ornaments. Throw me a bone here. Need the info. Well, you and I both are going to be going to thealexjonesstore.com to find out all the new products, including the ultimate turmeric gummies with ginger root and black pepper. just launched at the AlexJonesStore.com, including the Ultimate Iron plus gummies with vitamin C, available at the AlexJonesStore.com. All right, we're going to get into geopolitics coming up with Syrian Girl. Did I make the calendar, guys? I made the calendar.
Strikes fear into the heart of the elite. It's the War Room with Owen Schroyer.
All right, I have not seen the calendar. I'm told I've made a couple appearances in the calendar. There's one of them. What month is that? This is the new calendar, the Alex Jones 2025 movie calendar. Talk about a great gift. I'm at least featured in August. Well, that's good. I'm glad I'm in the summer months. They know me. They know me well. So you can go check that out at thealexjonesstore.com. All right. We had Syrian Girl scheduled. It's like 3 a.m, I think, in Australia right now. So I don't know if she is going to make it. We haven't been able to make contact with her yet. So we'll call an audible for now. And I'm going to hold off on this geopolitical news, hoping we can get a hold of her. If we don't, this segment, I'll probably come back in the next segment and get into that. So instead, let's just do this. Daniel Penny found not guilty in chokehold death of Jordan Neely. And there's a couple interesting things here, and then we'll show you some of the response. The fact that this was not guilty instead of, the mistrial hung jury type situation we had before tells me that there were holdouts. It wasn't holdouts that kept Penny from going to jail. There were holdouts that wanted Penny to go to jail. That's what this tells me. And after they couldn't get that done with the bigger charges, they came out and basically threw up the white flag on these lesser charges just to say, let's just get this over with. We're not gonna sway any people here anyway. So not guilty on chokehold death. So count 1 dismissed, count 2 not guilty. Penny is a free man now. Daniel Penny acquitted in subway chokehold death, sparking applause and uproar in New York City courtroom. And, of course, all kinds of uproar and applause in New York City outside of the court, all over X. This has been a big story all day long. You should see some of these responses. We'll get them to you. Black Lives Matter leader sparks outrage as he claims KKK got another victory in rant outside Daniel Penny trial. This is really sad stuff. You can't put all the blame on Barack Obama for this, but he certainly didn't help when it comes to race relations. And so to sit here and claim that this has anything to do with race is just yet another grifting opportunity. And that's all that this is. So you have people that are racists and see race through everything that are against Penny because he's white. And then you just have the race grifters that will use any opportunity to pit one race against the other to profit themselves, bring more attention to themselves. I mean, again, let's play the game right now. How many people do you think were shot and killed in Chicago this weekend? I'm going to go over under 3.5. I'm going to go over under 3.5 killed, and we'll go 16 shot in Chicago this weekend. So over under, place your bets. Over under 3.5 shot and killed in Chicago, 16 shot. Over under. Now, why do I bring this up? 14 shot, 4 fatally. I mean, it's sad that I'm so good at these odds, is it not, guys? I mean, that's actually kind of sad that this is so often that I'm like as good as Vegas odds makers putting NFL lines out. So where's the outrage, though? Where's the outrage? This happens every weekend, and a lot of times it's innocent people. You just had a drive-by shooting in St. Louis a couple weeks ago. Young high school hockey player shot and killed, just driving in his car. Drive-by shooting. Where's the outrage for that? Where's the big press conferences? Oh, no. It's only when it's the big media opportunity to draw attention to yourself and to blame everything on the white man. Where were Jordan Neely's friends? Where were Jordan Neely's parents when he's clearly struggling for years? A known trouble causer on the subway. But now his parents care. Now it's the KKK. No, the result for Jordan Neely was sad. The result for Jordan Neely was tragic. It's sad nobody was there for him to get his life back in order. It's sad nobody was there for him. Whatever abuse issues or criminal issues that he continued to face, where were his family and friends? It was tragic for Jordan Neely. But now the family and friends show up and cry racism and KKK and want money and are bringing lawsuits. Jordan Neely father suing Daniel Penny after acquittal. The father of the victim at the center of the fatal New York City subway chokehold trial has sued the defendant. Jordan Neely's father, Andre Zachary, filed the lawsuit against Marine veteran Daniel Penny in New York Supreme Court. He accuses the Long Island native of negligence, assault, and battery, which led to the death of his unarmed son. So again, they just want money now. It's just never enough. They want the money. Where were you when Neely was going through it, struggling with issues that led him to being a known vagrant on the subway? Where were you? So, civil trial now. And it doesn't matter what all the witnesses are saying, the eyewitnesses. Some of which are black Americans, by the way. Black women, by the way. Calling him a hero. Listen to some of the rantings and ravings outside of the courtroom today. Let's just go down the list, guys. This is from outside the courtroom after the decision. Daniel Penny, a free man. First, go to clip 14.
We got to stop that. We have to change how we impact each other. Jordan came on that subway car. The first thing he asked for was food, and he was killed. And the person who killed him was not held responsible. We cannot allow this to keep happening.
Now, notice how he says that. That's good, guys. We cannot allow this to keep happening. Well, what is this? He's insinuating that white people can just go around and kill black people. That's what he's insinuating. White people are a problem. White people. We cannot allow this to continue. White people. And there's no justice, even though the witnesses were black that supported Daniel Penny, the white man. Oh, and it's all these lawyers that are just waiting for their next case, just waiting for their next race-based case, waiting for their next moment in front of the cameras and the press and the national news. Says first thing Jordan Neely did when he got on the train was ask for food. Well, his father is standing right there. Did he call his dad? Did he ask his father for food? What was their relationship like that Neely is begging for food on the New York City subway? Now he's suing. Now he's got a relationship. Doesn't matter that the witnesses were talking about his erratic and threatening behavior. No, Penny is white. So he's the bad guy, and this is clearly racial injustice. And we have to stop this from happening. We don't need to stop drug-fueled tirades that are threatening people on the subway, making subway rides uncomfortable, making it comfortable for the general public to ride public transportation. No, we don't need to stop that. We need to stop these dirty white people. And if we accuse a white person of anything when a black person is a victim, then they must be guilty every time. Here's another one. BLM leader, clip 15.
Because to be real, they didn't even try. Once the lesser charge was removed, they came back an hour later and said it was deadlock. Less than an hour and 20 minutes later, they said not guilty. These wonderful white people, I hope they celebrate their Christmas.
Nice. That'll really help. You're really helping things by blaming white people for everything. It's just sick. This is really just a sick societal, cultural cancer that we have here. Why can't you get over your hatred for white people? Why do you stick race to every issue? Why can't you sit here and look at the facts of this case and say it was tragic for all involved, mostly for Neely, but that doesn't mean Penny is guilty here? You see, they never seem to care for these people until they can get money off of them. They never seem to care for these people until they can get attention off of them. Where were all these people supporting Neely so that he didn't have to be begging on a train for food and for money? Where were all these people when Neely was struggling with whatever he was struggling with in his life? Where were they then? Oh, no, now it's white people and damn the white people and damn America. Really, that will help. Let's continue. More from outside. Clip 16.
We need some black vigilantes.
That's right.
People want to jump up and choke us and kill us for being loud. How about we do the same when they attempt to oppress us?
Right.
I'm tired.
Again, making it a race-based thing when this was a Jordan Neely thing. By the way, there were black people on that train. Again, they called Penny a hero. But he wants black vigilantes to start going around assaulting white people. That'll help. More from outside. Clip 18.
Shavonna Newsom, CHIVONA, NEWSOME. I'm the co-founder of Black Lives Matter Greater New York. I stand here heartbroken because I have to hug a father who knows that the murderer of his son will most likely go free, who has to look in the face of a jury that no matter the facts, no matter the expert witnesses, no matter the people yelling on that train that day to let Jordan go, you will kill him. They will not find a white man guilty of killing a black man in modern day America. This is no different than Jim Crow. This looks like a picture out of the picture book when you look at that anonymous jury. We have baby boomers who were there doing Jim Crow on this jury.
Now pause it real quick. Almost everything she's just said there is factually incorrect. But you understand why they have the jury members anonymous, because we can't have people threatening them, threatening their lives, harassing them, intimidating, terrorizing them. You see why they're held accountable? What do you think would happen to a white person on that jury and you guys just happen to get its name and address? So she doesn't even have any of the facts accurate. And then she's going to compare it to Jim Crow. Again, nothing Neely did was wrong. Neely is completely innocent in all of this. Again, his story is the most tragic. His story is the most tragic. That he got to such a low point in his life, a known factor of him going around the streets, going around on subways, harassing people. And where is the family? Where are all these Black Lives Matter leaders? Where are they? Not until the tragic moment where somebody finally has to step in at maybe the lowest point in Neely's life, and he loses his life. And then y'all care. And then y'all care. Tell you what, that's enough of her. Now, they want to riot in New York City tonight. Here they are calling for it outside the courtroom, clip 17.
Hey, Russ, y'all make sure y'all come out tonight. They gonna hear us tonight. Y'all gonna get y'all money tonight. Y'all gonna get y'all money's worth tonight, motherfucker. Yeah, load that up. Y'all gonna get y'all money's worth tonight. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice.
Now, obviously, this whole thing is outrageous. This had nothing to do with skin color. It had to do with the tragic loss of life of Jordan Neely, who had lost control of himself and his life, and nobody stepped in to help him. But now they do. Now they want to. Story has nothing to do with race, except now the real racists are showing up and blaming it on white people. This is going to be an interesting test tonight. I don't think Black Lives Matter or the radical left really has the enthusiasm behind their movement to actually start riots like they did in the case of George Floyd. So they can threaten to be active tonight. I don't think so. I think most people see through it now. They see it's a charade. They don't believe everything is race-based. They don't believe that white people are bad. And so I don't see there being riots in New York City. I don't really see the marches having many people, if they have any at all. But they're still going to make that effort. But I think it'll be another failed attempt, just like they tried to do in Chicago earlier this year. I don't think it works. I think people see through it now. I don't think riots are in anymore, if you will. And that's good for the people of New York City. However, there will be some groups that will engage in probably a lot more targeted instances, let's just say. Perhaps even on subways. So you might think, well, subways are going to be a safer place now because if there is anybody harassing and terrorizing people and somebody steps in to stop it, now you know you're not going to jail. But I could also see whatever's left of these hate groups going onto subways to engage in terrorism and harassment in the name of Jordan Neely to make some loud, intimidating messages. Like they did last week, saying a man was lynched here. So I don't think your rides on the subway are getting any more comfortable anytime soon, unfortunately. But you can thank Alvin Bragg, the DA. Progressive Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg downgraded staggering 60% of felony cases to lesser charges last year amid fury of criminals being repeatedly released to roam the streets of the Big Apple. Yeah, how many charges had Neely had previously? Was it 42, guys? Jordan Neely, 42 prior arrests. This man clearly needed help, and unfortunately, it showed up too late for him. But now his family and friends want to be involved in his life. But it was too late. All right. We will get into some geopolitical stories dealing with Syria coming up here in a moment. You've got the Department of Government Efficiency gaining more momentum. Ron Paul wants Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy-led Doge to eliminate the program of immoral transfer of wealth. Well, what is that program? That's foreign aid. Elon Musk echoes Ron Paul on foreign aid as immoral transfer of wealth. Folks, this will save us hundreds of billions of dollars over time, trillions over time. Foreign aid. And it is a transfer of wealth. It's taking the wealth of Americans and letting it be stolen and laundered into third world nations, and they never improve, and they continue to send their people here where they get paid for again. The numbers are staggering. Ron Paul says, here's an easy one for the Department of Government Efficiency. Eliminate foreign aid. It's taking money from the poor and middle class in the U.S. and giving it to the rich in the poor countries, with a cut to the facilitators in between. Americans don't want their government to borrow more money to spend on non-citizens. And the U.S., as far as foreign aid, gives, 10 times as much as any other country. It gives more in foreign aid than the rest of the world combined. Why aren't we outraged? And see, that's the problem. As I'm sitting here, just look at New York for an example. They're outraged over this Neely case. Certainly tragic, but they're outraged for the wrong reasons. You have a story out of New York. A baseball player, a former New York Yankees baseball player, just signed a big deal with the Mets. They're outraged. They're out in the streets. They're burning jerseys. They're going on diatribes on their social media over a baseball player. Your money is literally being stolen from you and given to foreign countries. Where is the outrage here? Let's get our priorities straight. Think about that. All these people outraged because Daniel Penny is white. All these people outraged because a Yankees player just signed with the Mets. You're all outraged. But the biggest outrages you ignore. The biggest outrages you don't even know are going on. It's even worse. Musk quoting government reports about how they're taking billions of dollars. So far, hundreds of billions to Ukraine, billions to fight homelessness in California. Doesn't work. Trillions in military spending the Pentagon can't even account for. Trillions in pandemic spending. Most of it was stolen, laundered. But now the IRS has a policy. You make $600, they're coming after you. $600. But trillions in the Pentagon, nobody cares. So your money gets stolen and nobody bats an eye. But a Yankee player signs a contract with another team, you go outrageous.
My fellow Patriots, there are a lot of amazing Patriot gear, supplements, you name it, at thealexjonestore.com. But we've now added a whole bunch of other really cool items. There are a bunch of amazing campaign coins for InfoWars for $17.76. For the Fight for Liberty on the site as low as $9.99. Some of the challenge coins are $14.97. They're great fundraisers for us. They have a lot of weight in them. They look great. They're great conversation starters, great gifts, great keepsakes, mementos, and you know that you've supported the InfoWar. So I want to thank you all for your past support and encourage you now to go to thealexjonestore.com, our amazing sponsor that will keep us on air one way or the other. If InfoWars gets shut down, that's okay, because they're a great sponsor. They're not owned by me, and the bad guys won't be able to shut down thealexjonestore.com. So go there for the campaign coins and so much more today, and keep me in the fight. Thank you so much for your support.